Hello and welcome to The Final Whistle, the show where our referee says it as he sees it.
No excuses, no VAR, just straight up honesty. So drop your guys' comments and let's hear your opinions.
I'm Georgia Banks, and here with me in the studio is Football Insider's Ollie Farrow. And we've also got ex-FIFA and Premier League referee Keith Hackett online waiting for us.
We'll be in the studio every week breaking down everything from VAR decisions to offsides and red cards. So hit subscribe and never miss an episode.
What a weekend of football we've had. Just finishing off there with Tottenham versus Arsenal. Arsenal versus Tottenham, and we've got a very happy Arsenal fan in the studio with us, haven't we?
Yes, we definitely do.
Another howler from Liverpool, and Man City wasn't much better.
No, I mean, first thing is, it's a history of the Tottenham, as Chiellini once said. So Liverpool once again shocking, and Harvey Barnes, I mean, he's just doing a madness. I mean, hero at Arsenal Football Club right now.
I didn't even see you. You're fully kitted out, fully dressed up.
Have to be, man. 4-1.
Do you know, you texted me about this and I thought you were joking. But right, let's bring in our expert, Keith Hackett. Keith, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Perfect. So let's go straight into what we've just seen at the Emirates. So we've got to talk about Eze's goal. Similar to our conversation last week with the Van Dijk goal.
Yeah.
3 Arsenal players offside, blocking the view of Vicario. Keith, what do you make of this one?
Well, I think from my point of view, when you actually look at replays, you can see that the goalkeeper's got a good sight line. And there's distance from the goalkeeper to the players that are offside. Now, there are 3 Arsenal players standing in an offside position. That in itself is not an offence. So what we have to look at is, are any of those 3 interfering with an opponent? And to do that, are they preventing an opponent from playing or being able to play the ball? The answer is no. The ball, are they obstructing the opponent's line of vision? No. Are they challenging for the ball? No. I'm not going to rule that out. You know, I argued very strongly about the Liverpool goal being ruled out. Yesterday in the Newcastle Man United game, we had a player in an offside position, similar, just the one, and the goal was allowed to stand. So I'm for consistency. I don't think offside should be used as a means of ruling out good goals. Look, I mean, the performance of Eze today was spectacular.
I know, we've got his biggest fan right here.
I think this is why Keith's opinion matters most.
Perfect. So we're all happy with that goal.
Yeah, definitely should have stood.
Yeah.
Don't forget, guys, if you're watching this live, you can comment on what we're saying, and we'll have a little readout and see what you guys are thinking as well. If we go to... there was a little push and pull between Pep and a cameraman as well, wasn't there?
Definitely.
What do you make of that all?
A defeat's going to hurt at the end of the day, so if a cameraman's all in your face, you're going to react quite badly, aren't you, if your team's obviously trying to challenge for a title. So I think through human nature... Yeah, I kind of get it, but I mean, you got to be professional. You're a Premier League manager, so you got to pack that in. I think Pep, and he's done it quite a few times now, where he's kind of got a bit hot-headed. So,
do you know, when we had this conversation last week, his name wasn't mentioned.
No, but I think we will mention it quite a lot on this show.
I'd like to know what he said when he's pulled off his headphone.
Yeah.
Keith, when something like that happens, what's the kind of protocol? Because obviously the game's done. Will Pep get a fine? What's the kind of sanction for something like that?
Well, remember that even though the game has finished, the referee's blown that final whistle. He's still in charge of the match. So, you know, if you had trouble in the tunnel, that's the report. If the referee's seen this, he could report it. I suspect what might happen is the television company might well be unhappy with that interaction between Guardiola and the cameraman.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I think there'll be a debate. I think the Premier League may well, or the FA may well ask for some observations. I think really to avoid confrontation in the future rather than deal with what happened yesterday. It's a bit out of order. But you know, look, managers really are in a stressful situation when they're in that technical area. And I think as match officials, we just got to give a bit, take a bit, chat, try and keep them calm. But of course, it is the end of the match and the referees are in the middle, or the referee and the 2 assistants. So they've moved away from it. So for me, I think he'll be disappointed with his reaction.
Speaking of reactions, when we look at the Sheffield derby, so Sheffield Wednesday versus Sheffield United, it looks like a vape or a lighter was thrown at Tyrese Campbell from a Sheffield Can't get my words out. Sheffield Wednesday fan. Got to get that one right. Thoughts on this, guys?
It's fans, ain't it? I mean, football means a lot to the fans, and obviously seeing your rivals score against you, it's going to hurt. But obviously, you got to. It happens. It's football. Just support your club. Don't be throwing stuff at players. At the end of the day, they're there to do a job. Mm-hmm. He's a striker. He scored a goal. He's going to celebrate. So stay away from throwing stuff at opposition players, unless they're Tottenham players. Then I'll let you off.
I think I was at the match. I saw the object thrown, and I felt the referee David Webb on this particular incident handled it quite well. He didn't expose it big in a massive way. Picked the object up, ran to the technical area, gave it to the fourth official, and then obviously the process it cuts in. The ground controller is advised, the police are advised, and then the police start searching their videos in order to try and determine the person involved.
So did you see any aftermath of that?
Well, usually what will happen is, on some occasions, if it's been seen and they feel necessary, then it'll go to a court of law and be dealt with, not by the Football Association, but by the police, because it becomes a police matter. You've actually put at risk a player or a match official, then that becomes quite a situation to deal with. And you know, when you actually go to games, and I've obviously been in that privileged position of watching how the police operate, their cameras are incredible. And so their ability to actually search through the footage to find the individual, then they'll get to know what particular seat is occupying, and from that, the season ticket, his name, his address, and then there's a knock on the door and he's put in the van and off he goes to court. And that'll be the process.
I think that's the correct process to take.
Yeah, I definitely see a lot of things getting thrown in non-league games. Went to my local before, and the goalkeeper for the opposition got a burger thrown at his head. So
what did he do?
He just carried on playing football. I guess you're a goalkeeper. If a shot comes at you, you've got to leave the burger on your head, I guess.
Right. I mean, it's so dangerous. I mean, this is about the potential risk to eyesight. I think we can all sort of take a knock on the head or the shoulder, but if that goalkeeper turns and he gets one in the eye, then that could be really, really serious. And of course, in the past, we have seen a referee get struck with a cigarette lighter, and that game was abandoned, and off he went to hospital.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to scratch your eye either.
No,
I've had a peek of a hat in my eye and it would fully closed up within.
Yeah, that's not great. Yeah, keep things out of the pitch.
Okay, so moving on to Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. So once again, handball inconsistency is going to come into play here. Igor Jesus's goal being disallowed. Keith, take it away. What do we think?
I just think this was an awful decision. I get concerned how VAR is operating. You know, in Scotland, the head of referees, Willie Collum, operates on the basis that in these situations where you need to have a judgment call, where there's some degree of subjectivity, then he wants the referee involved in that. And I think the referee should have been called over and had a look at this, because the ball actually hit the upper shoulder. Remember that handball is the hand and arm level to the underside of the armpit, and this was above that. So this was poor decision, really poor decision. I mean, I don't like goals being disallowed.
That's what I don't really understand, is that we're disallowing goals for handballs that aren't handballs. I don't understand how it's being consistently got so wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that the law itself is difficult, but you know, we know what part of the arm can be penalised. We're then looking for forward movement of the hand and arm towards the ball, and then this real subjective aspect of, does the player make his body shape bigger? And the difficulty for referees, and as well as players who are facing these decisions from referees, is that natural movement means that you use your arms. You know, if you jump, you raise your arms, and they may well be in parallel to your shoulders. If you're making movements, a spinning movement, then your arms come out. But, you know, I think now the fans, every time the ball hits anywhere near the arm, they're going to be screaming. But on this one, it's pretty obvious that it didn't hit the area that should have been an area that says it's a handball. This was not handball, and it was incorrectly disallowed the goal. Big decision.
Staying on the topic of Liverpool, Ryan Gravenberch's totally unpunished challenge on Sangare. We can see that Sangare has contact on the ball with his right foot. Gravenberch's foot is on Sangare's calf, which to me is a serious foul and probably should have been a red.
Yeah, definitely.
What should have happened here?
Yeah, I mean, you can't be just going through someone's calf, not winning any of the ball, and then just getting away with it. Surely the referee or VAR should be pulling that up. I mean, if the referee's missed it, that's obviously VAR's job to be like, you need to look at this potential red card. But with nothing being unpunished, yeah, no, there's definitely something wrong with that.
Yeah, Keith, what do you think's happened there?
Well, I think, I think sometimes I worry about the interpretation of our current referees on serious foul play. We've got to look at excessive force. Did he come in at pace? That's always a questionable thing. It's a judgment. But what's worrying me is where the landing area is of the foot. And this is about 6 inches above the ankle. It's in a really vulnerable position. And for the referee to not see it, then I guess the VAR was out having a cup of tea, I think, or making one. I mean, he just wasn't there. And I think this is, again, a poor decision. And, you know, this guy, you know, I think if I was now in charge of referees, I'd be showing 1 or 2 clips of this guy, and they'd be saying, look, you need one eye on this guy. You just need to keep an eye on him because he's got a tendency to do this. And if you say referees don't mark the cards of players, I'm telling you they do. They're prepared as much when they go into a game as a player is, or a series of players, when they're doing corner kicks, set pieces. Referees have to judge the players that they're managing and how do they respond.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree, to be fair. But I'd like to hear other people's opinions if they want to send in their comments on that challenge.
We've also had Sangare was also brought down by McAllister, which also went unpunished. So it just seems a little bit...
Yeah, there's something dodgy going on there. I mean, they must have made their cup of tea and then started drinking it with some biscuits, because you need to be looking at these sort of things. If you're getting away unpunished with big challenges which could be injuring, say, Sangare, yeah, you need to be looking at them, because if a player's injured and, I don't know, really hurt him, misses the rest of the season, obviously that player's going to be fuming with the officials that have missed out on even giving other players a sanction.
So next up we have Brighton versus Brentford, and a player we actually spoke about last week, Brentford's Ouattara, who has previously involved in an incident with Newcastle's Dan Burn, where Burn stood on his foot, he went down, subsequently he's been sent off. This week, we've seen him go down again. Now, Keith, do you think this dive was intentional?
Yeah, I think this was probably a little more closely judgment in terms of was it a foul, was it not? Should he have had a penalty kick or not? We know that players, if they're touched or they have contact in the penalty area, they will go down. But what will happen is that, just a little bit like Salah at Liverpool, they gain that little reputation of being a bit of a diver, and as a consequence, there are times when they should get penalty kicks, and they're not going to get them. So I think his manager ought to have a word in his ear and say, look, try and stay on your feet rather than going down in a ridiculous manner looking for either a penalty kick or a player being cautioned.
Do you think he's making a bit of a name for himself for going down quite easily?
Yeah. And I think that one against Dan Burn that showed that he got a second yellow card, I think was really, really poor. I mean, they were challenging for the ball. There's going to be contact. That's allowed. He went to ground rather easily, and the referee bought it by giving Dan Burn a second yellow, which he can't appeal. Therefore, he serves a suspension. I just think that's a bit unfair.
I've got a question for you both. Do you think diving is something that's being taught by managers now, like any bit of contact? Because obviously football's a contact sport. Like I remember Xhaka having a whole interview and he said like this is not ballet, but players just going down so easy. It feels like they're like training it and training.
So from somebody with the Premier League club experience, I have never seen that, and I think I would be quite disappointed if I would see that, but.
Because I just feel like you see so many players now, they just go down with the most minimal amount of contact. It just feels like...
But you're going to do whatever you have to do to push your team ahead. So
yeah, definitely.
That's time wasting, diving.
That's where I feel like maybe the managers are giving them a little word like, any bit of contact, go down.
I think generally that is the case. I think that it's part of the psyche of a football player, a forward. If he's making a judgment as he's entering the penalty area, he's probably thinking to himself, am I going to get a shot away here? Have I got a good chance of putting the ball in the back of the net? And the secondary then is wait for contact or manufacture contact. I mean, one of the things they'll do is they'll go to ground and then hook, use a foot as a hook on an opponent, to actually make life very difficult for a referee to judge whether it is an act of simulation or it's an act that should be rewarded with a penalty kick. So there's no doubt in my mind, players have that, I think, instinct. They feel a touch, they'll go to ground. Some players are more prevalent at doing that, and even those that have a chance of putting the ball in the back of net go down far too easily. It's a real problem in the game.
I feel like there's not enough sanctions for diving now. For like if you're going down, there's just not enough. Like, don't be doing that. A card shown. I feel like there's not enough of that going on in the game.
Well, let me just come in because I think that this is not an easy area to detect for a referee. You know, and when you do caution somebody for an act of simulation, you're actually publicly saying you're a cheat. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think that almost as a preventative movement, I think the FA should have a panel of 3, maybe 2 ex-players and a referee sitting in judgment on a Monday, making a judgment call on these divers, and where they see and agree that it is a dive, then let's put a 1-match ban on that particular player. Now that might seem harsh, but if referees can't detect it, players are that good at it, and it impacts on the game as an image, then I think something needs to be done.
No, I agree with you there.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. Call them out.
Next up, we have Wolves versus Crystal Palace. So there was no penalty for Palace after Mola Wolf. On the line challenge against Ismaila Sarr. Some debate on this is, was the foul in or out of the penalty box?
Yeah, well, the penalty area line, remember, is part of the penalty area. Mm-hmm. And I must admit, you know, if you're in the VAR room, you've got several angles that you can look at. So this is a really tight call. But I'm supporting the referee. I'm actually saying, I agree with the referee. It's outside the area, not in. And the reason I do that is this. There's doubt as to whether it is inside because of the camera angles and various other things. So don't give a doubtful penalty. You're far better off giving a doubtful free kick than a doubtful penalty that might result in a goal. So for me, I think I'm going with the match officials. I think it was a free kick outside the area, not in.
You happy with that?
Yeah, I think that one. Yeah, should have been a free kick, not a penalty. I feel like there's not enough contact in the box, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think free kick, right decision.
Perfect. Do we have any thoughts from anybody online? Anything? No comments?
No, I don't think so.
No worries. Well, on that note, that's it today. That's all our instance wrapped up. Keith, thanks so much for calling in and giving us your expert opinion as always. Ollie, it's been a pleasure. Yeah,
it's been a very good weekend of football. Obviously, Tottenham hold that. I'm very happy.
I'm very happy with our 1 point. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week on The Final Whistle.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. or once again, I will come for you. So hit the subscribe button and drop a follow. And yeah, see you next week.
In your Arsenal scarf.
Coming up the Arsenal.